Hi everyone, welcome to the first session of Zedonk Day 2023. Thank you all for joining. Before we get started with the first webinar of the day, we just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce the client success team here at Zedonk. You'll probably recognize some of us, but we also have a couple of new members of the team who've joined us recently. So we thought we'd take this opportunity to say a bit of a hello, as we're the team behind all the webinars today. And the Helpdesk and all of your trainings on Zedonk. So you'll be hearing and seeing a lot more from us. So I'm Emily, hello. Please meet Lucy and Yinka. And also we have Rose and Robert. They both joined the team recently, so hello team. So on to the agenda for today. If you're unsure what other webinars we're hosting today, what we'll do is pop the agenda in the chat so you can see what other webinars there are, and it's not too late to register, so you can definitely register for those either while you're on this webinar or afterwards. Please note that all of our webinars are recorded and they will be subsequently uploaded to Zedonkopedia, whereby you can then watch them back whenever you want to. They can be replayed at a slower or a faster rate, depending on your preferences. And you can also enable closed captions on the replay as well. So you can kind of choose how you wish to watch that back. You can also pop your questions in the chat or send us a message on the help desk for any specifics. Again, we'll pop in the chat how to contact us, but it is also on this screen here. So I think that's quite enough from me. On to today's webinar, we are going through the basics of Zedonk, which will be led by Lucy. This is a great webinar for any new starters using Zedonk to kind of cover the core elements of your system, or even if it's just used as a refresher in terms of your settings and how to get your core data entered to the system. So if you haven't used it for a while, or you're kind of coming back to Zedonk, this is a great way to kind of refresh your memory. So enough from me, and over to Lucy. Thanks very much and enjoy.
Amazing. So hopefully you can see my Zedonk dashboard right now. So yeah, this is your Zedonk core system. You may have more modules than this if you have the inventory modules, but this is our core and the fundamentals of Zedonk really. So just to explain the dashboard briefly to you, what we have is, well, the design of the system is set up in a flowchart columns. So on the right-hand side, we've got everything to do with raw materials. So this is your suppliers, your raw materials, and the ordering of those raw materials as well. Then in the middle, we've got everything product. So we've got our manufacturers and we've got our product costings, and then we would have production. On the left-hand side, we've got everything to do with sales. So we've got our sales orders, we've got our customers, and we've got the production of the products ordered in our sales orders. So fulfilling those wholesale orders. Something to note and something really important to Zedonk is how you can change the season. So this is how we, as an ERP system, are unique to fashion, because everything below this line is independent in each season. So customers, manufacturers, and suppliers are visible in all of your seasons because that's necessary in each season. Whereas below that, you want to see everything specific to the season you're in. So your sales, your products, and your raw materials, and your ordering. So yeah, this is where we can come to, and this is something quite key. I know when I started with Zedonk, this is something that sometimes I'd wonder where a sales order was, and it just was that I was in the wrong season. So just to flag that this is the first port of call if you're wondering where something might be. Something else to point out very briefly, and I'll cover more later, is the system settings. So anything fundamental to your Zedonk system and your brand is in your system settings. So this can be your product categories, your customer categories, available to change in this cog in the top right corner. But yeah, we will touch more on that later. First of all, I'm going to go into suppliers. So as you'll see, these are the suppliers I have, for example, for you today. Suppliers are anyone that supplies you with any components of your products. So these can be materials, these can be trims, they can be packaging, can be labels. Anything to you that makes up, is considered a supplier can be logged here. So I have, for example, some London-based suppliers. I've also got the category that I consider them to be listed as well. And I've also got their contact as the website as well. So the reason I have that available on my main screen is because I can go in at any time and contact them and just copy and paste this if I wanted to, which is really handy of Zedonk. So to create one, we'll create one together now. We go to the plus green button of the new supplier in the top right corner. This takes us into the record. So the supplier I'm going to enter is London Fabrics. I'm going to select the category, could be natural fabrics. I pay these guys in GBP. The payment terms is going to be payment in advance because that's the terms that I have set up with the supplier. And then also these other details, I don't know right now, and that's absolutely fine. Zedonk only needs a few key bits of information to enter in some of the data records. So all else I need to do is tell them what country they're in. And I know that they are based in London, so they are United Kingdom. So I can save this record. And this is now listed in my list view here as London Fabrics. And I managed to save that. Whereas over time, you know, if I'm just sampling with these guys now, and later down the line, I get more information about them, I can enter that in. So there we go. So that is suppliers. Below suppliers is the raw materials. So let's click into here. And what I have here is these raw materials that my suppliers supply me with. So I just have a few listed for you to keep the, you know, it very simple today. So what I have is the raw material ID showing from my raw materials, the reference that I reference them in my studio, the supplier that supplies me with this. We'll cover this PO required function later. But I also have some other information which is key for me as per se someone that works in Zedonk and in production to know at any point in time. I want to know the care instructions of this before I submit this to the designer, anything like that. So again, let's create a new one together. So plus new raw material. The raw material ID can be anything that the supplier names it. So this could be something I would never be able to remember because it's just not unique to me. Whereas that's necessary for them and will show up on the purchase orders, so they need to know that. Whereas in my studio, I call this my soft satin. And if I click OK, this creates the raw material in my system. So I am able to log both of those bits of information, which are very key, at the same time. So it's kind of like it's having two references for that raw material. I then want to assign a material category, which I set up in my system settings. And I'm going to call this a woven. And the supplier of this is the supplier I just entered with you guys, London Fabrics. I also want to enter in the unit of measurement, which is per meter. I can enter in composition, care instructions, but for the purpose of this training, I'm not going to do that. But as you can see, you can enter in all of this information at a later date. What is important is the different variants. So although I have this code and I have this name for this raw material, I'm able to add as many different colors as I like. So, you know, I might purchase the full swatch card from these guys, or I just might purchase one or two. You have the ability to log those under these references at the top there. So the first color I'm going to go for is pink. And the cost of this per meter, this color, is, let's say this is £9 per meter. What I forgot to add just then was a color reference, which my supplier might call it. So the pink to my supplier might be number 65. And it's important to log that in the variant as this, to me, I call it pink in my studio, but the supplier calls pink number 65, which is important to put those bits of information together at the same time. The memo card is something that's going to show up on the purchase order. So I am able to tell myself here, there's a minimum order quantity of 200 meters of this variant of this raw material. So it's important to log that here. I can also add in an image. So I can drag in this image here and save. So I have a visual reference against this raw material. Let's say that I use more than one variant from this supplier in my upcoming collection. So what I can do, I can either add in a new variant if none of the details are the same, or I can copy the variant if it's very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a new variant here. And this is going to be navy. And let's say this is number 34. Okay, amazing. So let's say that this variant per meter is cheaper than the other one. So I'm going to put in £7, but minimum order quantity is the same of 200 meters. So I can log that. and also drag in a navy satin image. There we go. So I now have a record of this raw material, and I have both variants that I'm using in my current collection entered into my system. I can add any notes here if I wanted to. So you know, this could be fabric testing certificates, this could be supply chain information. That's possible to enter here with an attachment. So also if you're sent the swatch card of the raw material, this is a place where you could log that as well. I can also see the seasons that this is visible in. So at the moment, it's just in my new collection. But over time, if this was a core raw material like a zip, visible everywhere, I would be able to see that and the cost increase over time as well. And let's click Save Together. Fantastic. So if I go back to raw materials here, I can see this record logged now without some of the information, which I can go back and enter later. But what I can't see is the different colors at the moment. So instantly when you go into the raw materials tab, you don't see all of the variants, you just see the main. But if I click this button, raw materials by color, I can see all of those different variants. So I can see them all here and the supplier they're from, the cost, etc., which is really handy. Fantastic. So let's clear filter again. Amazing. So something that I want to point out here, so let's click into one of these variants. So I have this flanneling and I have this in flamingo pink. As you can see, I like pink. What is important to note, and something quite vital to Zedonk as well, because any data in Zedonk is able to be made visible or invisible. So this raw material is visible in this season, but it might not be visible in another season. So within that season, I would make that invisible and it would no longer show up, but it's still in my system. It's always logged. It's just not visible in that season. So I'm going to cancel that action for now, but show you how to make something inactive as well. So inactive is a global status. So this would make this flannel in flamingo pink invisible in all of my seasons. So yeah, that would be making it inactive versus invisible. Let's make them both the same. So for instance, I know that this one is currently visible in this season, but I want to make it invisible. So I'm clicking that there. And as you'll see, if I go back to raw materials and raw material by color, the flannel in flamingo pink is no longer here. And that's because it's just invisible. It's still logged in my system. You never have to double log or re-enter a raw material. It's always there. What I need to do is remove my visible filter here. And I can see the flannel in flamingo pink is logged just here. So yes, there we go. So that's the active invisible explained. Fantastic. So that's everything raw materials. Let's go back to our home screen. And we're now going to go into manufacturers. So manufacturers. Manufacturers is anyone who produces your finished product. So if your company doesn't deal with raw materials and you buy finished goods, these would be your manufacturers. Whereas if you are CMT and you are supplying your manufacturers with the cut, make, trim, then this is where you would log those manufacturers as well. You can see the user interface of all of the modules are very similar. All the records are listed the same. And you can actually go in to this function here, select Move Filter, to edit your view at any time. So I've chosen to see my manufacturer's identity code, as well as the contact information for each manufacturer, by clicking on this Select Move Filter function here. And let's say I didn't want to see the MID code anymore. I could remove that, click OK, and now that's gone. So yeah, that's where you can change the list view that you are seeing under that function there. So let's create a manufacturer together as well now. So I click New Manufacturer. Fantastic. And then I'm going to enter in, let's enter in Kensington Machinists. Fantastic. I want to enter them under the category of short run. So these guys I just use if I want to fulfill a very special sales order that's come in from a VIP. The currency I pay these guys in is GBP, as they are London based. And let's say I know the manufacturer code as well now as well. So I can enter that here. I can enter the payment terms. So I know that I have 30 days to pay these guys. If I have any shipping information or website, I can also enter that here. It's important to note that any data entry on Zedonk If it says comments, it is extractable from reports. So I will be able to export this. So let's say specialists in silk. I can enter that here. And this is important for any of my users of Zedonk to note. So I put it in comments for everyone to see. The addressing contacts, so as you saw that, I wasn't able to save this record because what Zedonk wants to know is where they are based. So as soon as I enter that, I'm able to save this record and go back later to enter in other information. But let's say I do know right now that Christina is my contact here, and I have her telephone number. Let's say this is 07, etc. I can enter that in now. It's fantastic. So going back to manufacturers, I can see Kensington machinists are now logged, and I can go in and enter this later. But what I am able to do now is create a product supplied by this manufacturer. So I can go back to my home screen, and in product costings, I can see all of my listed product costings and now enter a product for that manufacturer. So let's just take a look at this product I've entered previously as well. I'm able to see the style, the fabric, and the color of this product, a description, the manufacturer, as well as the sizes offered and the HTS code. So let's create a new product together. And I want to enter in the style. So I'm going to call these Robin Pajamas. That is my style name. The fabric is going to be the soft satin, which we entered together, and the color is going to be pink. Fantastic. Then this is created the base of a product within my system. So I have that product ID created. I can enter the product categories. So this is a seasonal product to me, AR women's, it is nightwear, and they are pajamas, and the category, let's say these are just plain. Fantastic. So these categories you see within your system, if you're familiar with your brand system at the moment, they would be different to these, as these categories are set up by myself in my system settings. So we will touch on this more later, but this is just an example of how you can personalize Zedonk to fit your brand. And then description here, let's just say lovely pajamas. This can be more commercial, of course. Size category, let's select here. I want to make these the UK size 4 to 22. Click OK. Again, this was set up in my system settings, so they might look different in your system. And I can also see again here the active and visible status of this product. So if I try to save this now, I can see that I wasn't able to save that because all Zedonk wants to know at this point, who is manufacturing this product. So let's say Kensington machinists are manufacturing this, and they manufacture these for a cost of £45 per product. I can enter in lead times, for instance, 6 weeks, a minimum of 50 products, and any internal comments I have here as well, I can enter. But let's save these. And as we can see, I have this base product entered into the system, which I can obviously go and enter more information, but that's now in, and I can develop that later if I like. But let's say I actually have a different manufacturer that is able to, or I sampled this product with another manufacturer. I can select them here. Let's select Angel Stitching, and they are cheaper. Let's say these are £30, but they have a longer lead time. Let's say it's 8 weeks. Instance, and save. So preferably, I want to use Kensington machinists, so I log them as my default manufacturer, but I am able to add another manufacturer if I want to keep that record in my Zedonk. Fantastic. Moving on to customs data. So this is where you can enter any data, which is basically going to help you get your product through customs. So, if you're just selling to the UK, this might not be so necessary to have HTS code, but if you would like to utilize this area, you can enter in the customs type. So this was a woman's woven. The textile content, let's say this is 100% viscose. If I have any sales order notes, I can enter them here as well, and that will appear on all sales orders. Automatically, the MID code is pulled through, but what I want to enter at this stage is the HTS code, which I know here. I don't know my intrastat code, but I do know the weight is 0.2 kilograms, and save. So this will pull through to any commercial invoices. So if you're someone that's going to be working with commercial invoices, this is where you can go to enter any data of your products. Let's go to raw materials now. So raw materials is where we can enter any of those components which I spoke about within that module to this product and also enter the consumption. So if I quickly add a brand label, so we can see what it looks like when one pulls through, this is how the record looks. But let's go and add into the advanced add to add more of the raw materials. So I know that this is going to have some piping on it. So I want some white piping on the pajamas. I know which care label I want to use. And I know that I want to use my pink soft satin, as well as have some woven tape in white and a white swing tag. So these are all the raw materials that I know are involved in the making of this product. So I add, and we can see them all listed here. I can go in and edit the variant. So for instance, at this stage, if I wanted to change the color of piping, I can select the variant here. And I can also enter in the quantity. So I know that I want to enter one brand label. The piping, let's say in total, I use 1.5 meters of the piping in this product. I have one care label. I have 2 meters of the soft satin. I use one swing tag and let's say one of the woven tape. And as you can see, with those costs logged in the raw materials module, I'm adding up to the total raw material cost for this product. So that's where that's entered there. And I'm just going to save as I'm going along. Fantastic. I can go into my cost module now. And this is where this is going to show me a breakdown of the total unit cost for this product before I go into my pricing. So I can see I have a make cost of £45 with my Kensington machinist to make this product. The total of the raw materials comes to £25.44. So the FOB price of this is £70.44. I want to add some freight coverage on this product. So this is obviously important since Brexit. I want to cover the freight of £2 of this product, just in case I ever get overcharged or something like that. I can include that within the price. So I'm not losing out any profit. It is included within the total unit cost. I can also enter import duty if I have it. This product's made here, so I don't at all. But I can also enter in miscellaneous. If you ever wanted to cover your back with any costs, you can enter in a value or a percentage. I've entered in £5 to cover the costs there. So I can save that. And I can see now that the total unit cost of this product is £77.44. If I want to enter in any production notes, so say under the labels, I want to say care label stitched, 12 centimeters from hem, I can enter that here. And this will pull through to my production order. And any other production notes, let's just say for now, please see crack. That's entered here. Fantastic. And save. So now I go onto my wholesale RRP tab. And this is where I can do the pricing of my product. So my markups are entered in my system settings, but I can pull them through to this stage where I want to do my costs. So my cost to wholesale are, let's say for this product, let's go with tops, just for example. And let's use a standard RRP markup of 2.7. So what this has done is taken my product from £77.44 to a suggested wholesale price with my markup of 122% to £172.09. So this is what Zedonk is suggesting to me, but ultimately I need to enter that final price because this isn't a whole number. This is not what I want to represent my brand. So I'm going to enter in that final price of £175 as my wholesale price. Again, with the retail price, it is suggesting to me that I want to have £472.50 based on my markup. Let's say I can go higher and lower than this, but let's say I want to go with 475 is pretty accurate. Oh, maybe not that much for this product. Let's do that again. 475. There we go. So now I have a wholesale price and an RRP entered within GBP for this product. So let's save this quickly. And if you have more currencies logged into your Zedonk, you can have Euro and USD, for example. You can go and do the wholesale and the RRP price for these costs as well. I'm going to skip over that today, but the process is exactly the same and includes the currency setup from your system settings as well. So now I'm on the media tab. So this has recently changed. If you've been with Zedonk for a while, you'll notice you now have production and labels options. But ultimately, I can get in 3 different pictures for the product to use for different things. So image 1 is a commercial image. So let's drag in this image here. And this is going to be pulling through to my line sheets for this product. If I have a tech drawing or any other information which is going to be useful to my manufacturer, I can enter that in the production image. So let's enter in this tech drawing here. And I can also enter in label information. So I've just taken this offline, but if I have any care label specifics or brand label specifics, I can enter that here to also pull through on my production documents. And let's save those. And now all of those images are logged against the product. Fantastic. I also have some notes. So notes are all kept internal. So these will never be shown to manufacturer or customer. And that is standard for any notes tab which you have in Data in Zedonk. You can use tags set up in your system settings to label it. So let's say production-wise, speak to Martin on production. And that's something that is important to my company to know about the production process. And if I have any fit notes, that Martin took or something like that, I can enter them here. And this is why I can use Zedonk as my internal database. Let's go to seasons, which was similar as the raw materials. I can see the product, if it was a core or carryover product, and the price increase or decrease over time. Another function of Zedonk is the log, which is on any data entry as well, to tell you if a user has edited the product edited the data in any way, and when it was done. So this is useful if you're on holiday, something changes to a product, you want to know why, you can speak to that user and ask them why or what happened. So it just saves, a communication. Fantastic. So as you can see, I have these Skylight pajamas now logged with these Robin pajamas, which is fantastic. Let's say something that you guys might have to do within Zedonk is pull line sheets. So let's pull one for these 2 products here. So I'm selecting those products, going to my selected menu, and at the bottom, selecting line sheet or price list. I can select that here. I can select the view, the values that I want to see. Let's go with wholesale and RRP in GBP, and I want to see the products split per color and print. And I can then see the PDF line sheet for my fashion brand. And this logo at the top will be, of course, specific to your company. But that's where I can pull my line sheets. Fantastic. So we spoke before about the active and inactive status of a product, the visible and invisible. At this stage in the product costings, if I want to pull through some of my core and carryover products, I can go to my drop-down menu here, go to Set Season Visibility, and you'll see all of my products in my system now. And if I wanted to pull through one from before, I can select that and it will pull through automatically. So let's go with baggy jeans, select them there, go back to my product costings, and you'll see they have now pulled through. So this is just making a product visible, and I can, update the wholesale RRP prices if that's specific to this season. But they would have pulled through from before as well. So yes, that is the set season visibility function, which might be quite important to everyone. You can see a lot of reports in Zedonk as well in the product costings module. So if I click on wholesale currencies, I can see all the wholesale currencies of the products, and that are listed with all the different currencies there. And there's plenty more as well, like make cost, cost summary, to have a play around with after this session. Fantastic. So that is the product costings module where you can enter all of your products and pull through products from before. Great. Let's move on then to customers. So the customers module here, you'll see is very similar to manufacturers and suppliers, which we have already covered. We can see all of the customers I work with here. I can see the category that I assigned to them. I can see their contact information, the payment terms, which is important for me to see, as well as the VAT and if they've got an SO in this season. So let's create a new customer together. Click the plus green button again of new customer, and let's enter in Phoenix of New Bond Street. They are my new customer for this season. So yeah, I can enter in the category that I have. So I'd consider them to be a department store. The territory is Europe. The priority to me is very high, so I can log that here, and any other information I have for them at this stage. The payment details is GBP. My bank details set up in my settings are putting through here, and I can also decide if I want to make them VAT applicable, which they are, and I can enter in the VAT number as well and save. Fantastic. That customer is now logged. The payment terms that I have for these guys are 30% and 70%, so I can log that as I've entered that before. But if I had special ones per this customer, I can enter that manually. Let's log that again. And let's say I work with these guys on a discount of 3%. So each order they enter into my system is 3% discount already applied, and save. So the store address for these guys, which is 63 New Bond Street. I can enter here, as well as I know they're in London and they're likely to be SW1, so I can enter that in here and save this. And I also want to get the country in as well. And then this is going to help Zedonk know the VAT rate to apply to the sales orders created for this store of this customer. So that's why the country is really important to enter. And I can also enter in a few different store addresses. If it might be possible, I'm working with different stores. If I have a different delivery address, I can log that, as well as a different accounts address. Fantastic. So I can enter those records if I want to. So the contact for this store, let's say it is Emily. And I know that Emily is at phoenix.co.uk. And I also have her telephone number. And this is important because this is going to pull through to my sales orders as well. And yeah, I can communicate that with everyone who's looking at the sales order at any time. There we go. I can add in the shipper. If I have a shipper for this Fenwick store that I work with always, I can add them in here. I can also enter in notes, as we said before. This is internal to Zedonk. So if I have any shipping instructions for my wholesaler, which are very specific, I can enter that in here and also add in an attachment if I have that as well. Let's just enter in DHL there. Fantastic. I can go to the history. So over time, I can see what this customer ordered with me, how much they ordered, how much they continued to invoice, and how much they credited. So that's really important information I can see from an analysis perspective as I go through each season. On a map, I'm able to see where this customer is, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I can just see where they are to just give me a bit of context, perhaps. Fantastic. So I can see that that customer is now logged in my system, and I have all of their information here as well. Great. If I go back to my home, I now want to go into sales orders and make a sales order for this customer. So I can see the sales orders entered for this season so far. I can see who they're for. I can see how much they spent and the PO number or the order reference if I need to see it as well as here. I can see this pie chart. So within sales orders module, this is where I create also my delivery notes and my invoices. So I'm able to see at this overall stage where each of these sales orders are in terms of the status. So I've got all of those sales orders. Let's create a new one together. So add new sales order for customer Phoenix of New Bond Street. Fantastic. Let's say I have an order reference for these guys, a PO number that they've given me. As you can see, sorry, I skipped past, but the different addresses that I have for this customer are also pulling through here. I can see the delivery period for this sales order, which pulled through again from my system settings, has automatically fulfilled, as well as the payment terms and the order priority and the order owner. And I can add in an order tag if I want to, which is a forward order for this one. And I save. Fantastic. Now I want to enter in the products that these guys have ordered. So let's go with the Robin pajamas, which we created together. You can see the images pulled through, as well as their automatic wholesale price for this product. I want to go in and quantify these now. So let's enter in these quantities for this and save. So this customer now, I can see, has ordered this product in these sizes for this season. I go onto my totals tab and I can just see an overview, and I can see that that discount has applied for this product, for this sales order, sorry, from the sales orders. And there we go. So that order is now created. If I want to print that, I go to the actions menu and print. I can select some additional options here, whether I do or don't want the image to show. Same with HTS code, any of these details here. And I can select if this is a provisional, confirmation, a line sheet, and which view I have. So let's print this one. And have a look at it. And there we go. So this is what my sales order looks like. Your guys will obviously have your brand's logo here, your own information, and the information specific to the order. So I can see the product with the HTS, the size breakdown of the order, the discount, and the net value of this. I can see my legal numbers also have pulled through to the bottom here, which is set up in system settings as well. Fantastic. So let's go back to the main orders page, where I can now see that order listed with the other ones. So that is here. So when it comes to creating a pro forma, a delivery note, or an invoice for the product, for this order, I have to go into this area called the order tracker, because it's now managed on a specific basis. So I can click on the left OT. I can also access it from my sales order and the green OT in the top right corner. OT there, and I have this sales order. I want to create a pro forma to get my deposit for this sales order. So I add pro forma from this action button here. And all the information that I need has pulled through for me with the products and the quantities and the totals here as well. So what I want to do at this stage is add on a transport charge of £50 for this sales order, and say that I want to get a 30% deposit from them now. I can see that they haven't paid anything before, but what I'm requiring is 30, and I select that percentage here, and this calculates what I need right now. Fantastic. And then I save. If I print this now, and view it, I can see very similar to the sales order, but I can also now see the payment details, which obviously accounts need to make the payment, and I can see the deposit required for them right now. Fantastic. So that's making a pro forma. Once this has been paid, I can mark it as paid just here. Let's say, change the date to say they don't pay until next week, but I save. Amazing. Go back to the order tracker and I can see a pro forma of deposit has been paid because I can see the stamp there. So when it comes to time where we need to deliver our goods, I can create my delivery note in this area from this action menu here and add delivery note. So I add delivery note to now. Again, all the information is pulled through that I need. What I need to do is tell the system what is actually on this delivery note. So this could be a partial shipment or this could be a full shipment. If this is full, I can use this drop down here to automatically enter my quantities in here for me. And then I click save. I can also go and add in any information I have on the box or the shipment if I have it. So say 20 kilograms in 10 boxes, and they are 50 by 50 by 50, and save. So that is my delivery note created. Once I have tracking information, I can enter that and save and print again. Let's have a look at this. There we go. So then this is useful to my shipper, to my customer, and to myself. And I can either email that and I can stick it on the outside of the box as well. So once it is shipped, I can mark it as shipped, click save, head back to OT, and I can see I now have a full shipment and a deposit paid as well. So let's say it's time to invoice for these goods. You can only make invoices in Zedonk from the delivery note. So I click next to the delivery note and add invoice. And all I need to do is then save. Zedonk has done everything else for me. It's got my tracking number, it's got all the goods, It's got all of the totals, and let's have a look at this printed. There we go. And there's my invoice that I can have to send out. Fantastic. Back to the order tracker. Oh, sorry, if you want to mark this as paid as well, you can by just simply clicking paid here and save. Back to order tracker, I can see I have full shipment and full invoice for this order, which I'm very happy with. So I go back to my orders, and I can see that from my main view as well. I can hover over and see I've completely invoiced and completely shipped this order. Fantastic. So again, we can look at select move filter if we want to do any filtering in this section. So if I just wanted to see, for example, the order owner, if I have more than one in my system, if I want to see the different customers' orders, so if I want to see only Phoenix, I can do that here as well. Fantastic. Great, so we have covered these 6 top modules now, which are the key to your Zedonk core. But what I need to do is obviously produce those goods that were on the sales order. So I go to my production analysis module, and what I can see is all of the products which I need to fulfill my sales orders for this season. So I have them listed by customer, I have them listed by style, and the quantities needed per style. I can see which manufacturer makes them, and I can see where they are in the production process. So these are all outstanding, which is red flag to me, as I know that I need to produce these in order to fulfill my sales orders. So to create a production order, I want to select, say, the most recent one that we made together, these Robin pajamas, made by Kensington Machinists, and I want to go on the green button up here and create production order. Select the manufacturer, which is Kensington Machinists, and OK. And this creates the production order for me. If I want to print this now, I can click this print module here. And I can either select to print it as a docket. Let's do this together first, showing the bombs and print. So the docket is what I consider to be what you would send, or what you most likely the machinists want to see, because it's got a lot more information about the product. So I can see the product with the tech pack, the technical drawing, lots of information on the product, and also the bomb information. So that's the docket print. If you would like to print the production list, which is a bit more of an overview, let's also show all of these. This is a bit more what you would communicate maybe to the manager. So let's have a look at this. And this is what they would see. So a bit more simple, a bit more looking like the sales order, but it's just giving you that overall view, which is necessary at this time. Fantastic. So as you can see, this changed to work in progress. So if I want to see only my outstanding products, I can do that from this filter view here, and the same with work in progress. There we go. Great. So now that I have my products in my system with my raw materials, they have been ordered and I need to produce them. What I then need to do is order the raw materials. So I want to go into purchase orders for this. Actually, let's just show you something useful. In raw materials, I can actually see under this column, PO required. What this is telling me is these raw materials are listed on products which have been listed on sales orders and are on production orders. So my system knows that I don't have enough of these goods to fulfill my production. So from this red yes, this tells me that let's pick the soft satin needs to be ordered. So I can either order this from here, I can create the PO, but let's do this together in purchase orders. So click the new PO up here. The supplier is London Fabrics, and I'm going to ship this straight to my manufacturer, Kensington Machinists, and create. I can enter in PO reference. Let's say this is for January production, and I want this to be delivered to me throughout December for certain. If I have a shipper, let's say DPD, I know they're going to ship. I know that I need to pay in advance for this. and I want to apply VAT, for example. And then let's select the raw materials to order, which is the soft satin. So the system's telling me I need 46 meters, and that's fantastically created that because it knows what I have in production for those products, for those sales orders. So I'm going to enter in, or let's actually have a look at the memo card. I know that I need 200 meters, or my supplier is going to reject that. So that's why it's important to use the memo card. And I can enter in a quantity of 200 meters for this purchase order. If at this stage I wanted to order some of the navy as well, because I expect I'm going to get some orders for that, I can do that as well. And then I can print this to show you guys what it would look like. So include some images. Fantastic. And then this is what I can send to my supplier with loads of information. As you see, the raw material ID and also the image, as well as the color. So I can ensure what I'm going to get from them and where they need to ship it to. Great. So that's the purchase order. As you guys, if you have the core system, as soon as you save that, this will update your inventory to know that you do have 200 meters of each of those products in your inventory. So yeah, just to let you know that key feature there. And that's purchase orders. Amazing. So that is a brief overview of these top modules. One really quick thing to go in is reports. I'm not going to cover this in great deal, but just to give you an overview, this is where you can pull any live data from your Zedonk system at any time. So it takes a lot of, or a little bit of getting used to if you're able to spend some time getting to know the reports which are suitable for you. At any point, you can look on Zedonkopedia or contact the help desk to find the best one for you as well, if you just let us know exactly what you need. But let's say, for instance, I want to see my bestseller by style. So I click on this report I like and display report. And I can see for my season which products have been ordered, the image and the price for them. So that's just a really brief but really useful report that Zedonk can give you. If you want to export that into CSV or Excel, you can press these buttons and it would automatically export that for you. Fantastic. So that is all of your modules. You can enter any of the modules from this sidebar as well. And some other things to note was the system settings. So let's just briefly go into here. If you wanted to change any of your product categories for your business, for your brand, any material settings, want to add in, I don't know, a note tag, customer category, shipping or payment terms, this is where you go to do that. So yeah, just a brief there. An important one might be company details, where you can enter in logos, update any vital information to your company as well. Fantastic. So something else really important to note is the help bubble up here. This is where you access Zedonkopedia. So Zedonkopedia is our online manual with basically everything I've just gone through, and anything you might ever need should be in here. And for instance, if we're going to product costings, add a new product, this will talk you through exactly how to do that process. So you can also contact the help desk whenever you like. We work London office hours and we're here to help. So just contact whenever you have a request. But if you need something quite urgently, or you feel like you might be able to find it in here, go to Zedonkopedia and it just might be there for you.
Amazing. Thanks, Lucy. That was great. As we don't have any questions, we can probably end the session here. A few things I just wanted to mention is our next webinar is starting in about 40 minutes. That's Zedonk Tips and Tricks, which is a great follow-on from everything Lucy just covered in that session. So I would recommend tuning into that, which will be approximately 45 minutes long. So that's at 10:30 a.m. BST. And as Lucy touched upon the reports area, if you do want to learn a little bit more about reports, we actually have a reports webinar dedicated to navigating the area at 1 p.m. BST. So definitely tune in for that. You can find the agenda in the chat here, but also on your home screen in Zedonk. So if there are other webinars that you want to join into, please do register. But I think that is all from us. Thank you so much for joining the first session. And just a reminder that all our webinars will be recorded, so you can watch this back or share with someone who was perhaps not able to attend. And we will be uploading these to Zedonkopedia, so you'll always have a record of these webinars too. So thank you so much for joining, and we will hopefully see you on the next webinar.